Mr. van der Merwe, good morning to you. So 4 weeks in a row now, increased COVID-19 infections at schools. I don't imagine this bodes well, especially a couple of weeks away from the call for primary school and special needs schools to come back to essentially their normal timetable.
Good morning, Gareth. Good morning to all the viewers. Thank you for having us. Yes, of course, the situation in the Northern Cape is not that good. At least we've managed to get the situation to a certain extent under control. Just to run through some stats for you, what we experienced during the month of May, we experienced for the fourth consecutive week an increase in the COVID-19 infections. Just last week, we recorded 348 infections. What is, of course, of great concern for us is the number of learners that have tested positive. Last week, 276 learners have tested positive. In total, for the month of May, we had 911 positive cases, of which just over 400 are still active cases. So of course, this is of great concern to us, and it's disrupting schools. Just during the month of May as well, we've closed and reopened 98 schools in the province. After today, 2 schools will still remain closed, and those schools are located in the Namakwa district.
What is happening to the education side as far as teaching is concerned? Mr. van der Merwe, when these schools do close and reopen and close again, does schooling stop, or are there plans in place?
It all depends on the situation at the specific schools. Remember, we have a close working relationship with the Department of Health, and they guide us as a department in terms of what we should do. Some schools close for a period of 10 days, other schools just close for disinfection. It all depends on the infections in schools. So, of course, that having a negative effect on learning and teaching. Our district officers has developed recovery plans for all these schools that were affected. So at given times, learners will be expected to remain at school for extended hours to ensure that we bring their schoolwork and curriculum coverage on par, and to ensure that their academic performance are not negatively affected.
Can you give me a sense of what you've been hearing, Mr. van der Merwe, about why there's been this increase at schools? The Northern Cape was one of the provinces, if not the province, that was being lauded for its low numbers of COVID-19, especially last year. Any sense where it's starting to come off the rails a little bit for schools?
You must remember, Gareth, that schools are a microcosm of society, and what happens in our community is due to happen in schools. And that's why we have made the call with all school communities to ensure when learners are basically in their communities, that they should limit their movement as well as social interaction with other people. Because if you look at the stats currently, with the high learners that have tested positive, it might even be that our learners are the carriers of the virus. So that's why we've made the plea with our school communities to ensure that they limit the movement, and that will contribute to the limit of or curb the spread of the COVID-19 virus.
Just before I let you go in the last minute that I have with you, I started our discussion with this call for primary schools and schools for special needs children to go back essentially to a normal timetable. Do you think you will get to a point, Mr. van der Merwe, where you will suggest to the Education Department that maybe that might not be a good idea in a few weeks' time? Do you think you're at that point yet? And would you do it?
Look, the MEC has indicated last week, also in the interview with ENCA, that we will assess the situation on the ground. We will engage the school governing bodies, the school management teams, and we will make our assessment at that given time what the situation is in our communities and at our schools. And if needs be, the MEC did indicate that he will write a letter to the minister requesting then for what the situation is on the ground, whether we extend, whether only certain schools will operate as normal, and how we will go forward in that regard.
Well, I appreciate your time in speaking to us this morning. We're all going to watch very closely the numbers around the country, but also in Northern Cape schools as we get closer to that deadline. Jeffrey van der Merwe, my thanks to you from the Northern Cape Education Department.